Official.streetsmarks@gmail.com is how you want to contact us. Listen to us right here exclusively on YouTube, Street Smart Audio. Or fuck with us. Official.streetsmarks on SoundCloud and IG. Street Smart fan page on Facebook. Street_Smarks on Twitter. ECW Memories with the Goofs.
We love you, Goofs.
Courtesy of PWInsider.com. Neckbeard.
What's up, Neck Beezy?
This week in wrestling history as we see fit. July 16th, 1988. Frank Goodish, better known to the world as Bruiser Brody, is stabbed in the shower stall in the locker room at Juan Lobriel Stadium in Bayamon, Puerto Rico by wrestler and WWC part owner Jose Gonzalez, aka Invader One, prior to a WWC event. Brody is taken to a hospital but dies on the operating table later that night, technically the morning of the 17th, from blood loss. Gonzalez is charged with first-degree murder, but is later acquitted.
Whoa!
Brody, a true legend in the business, particularly in Japan, was 42 years old. Brody might be before your time. So do you know anything about Bruiser Brody?
Except, not much, except for, I guess, he was very underrated. A lot of people say who were a fan of his. But, and then, of course, I knew he got stabbed to death. But how do you get acquitted from shanking somebody in a shower?
I shall tell you. So, in the court case between Bruiser Brody and Invader One, the lawyer pretty much played kayfabe and played the jury because Bruiser Brody was usually a heel. And claimed self-defense for Invader One, who was a Puerto Rican legend. So he got off that way.
My God. You have got to be kidding me.
Yes.
Like, y'all all seen him on TV. He's an animal. What was I supposed to do? Oh, my God.
Apparently it was about some payoffs. Stabbed him in the shower. There's wrestlers who've given their accounts on various shoot interviews to include Tony Atlas and Dangerous Dan Spivey, who was supposed to wrestle him that night. Dan Spivey in his RF video shoot interview claimed that he was deposed by Puerto Rico government to show up for the trial. So he had to get out of that because he's like, yo, this is kayfabe. I didn't, there's two different locker rooms, the heel side locker room and the, babyface locker room. So he wasn't even there, you know what I'm saying? So at first, when people thought, when he got stabbed and everything, he claims that a lot of people thought that he stabbed him.
Oh, shit.
Because he was facing them later that night.
Oh, man.
Check out the Dan Spivey shoot interview courtesy of Rob Feinstein.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Stay tuned.
Oh, boy.
July 17th, 1926. Future multi-time world heavyweight champion Edouard Carpentier. It was born in Rouen, France.
Who?
Oh, you know Edouard Carpentier?
No, I don't know Edouard Carpentier.
Oh yeah, he's definitely a legend in the same vein as Lou Thez, Frank Gotch, Frank George Hackenschmidt, and all those geeks back in the turn of the century.
Oh, so
Terry Funk.
So right now there are about 4 people getting really excited right now about Edward. He didn't even do shit. That was just his birthday in 1926.
Terry Funk was 100.
Might have been 101 at that.
Dory Funk Sr. was 1,000.
You already know. Man, that damn girl.
Same day, 1976. NWA Tri-State held its first Superdome extravaganza at the Louisiana Superdome in New Orleans, Louisiana. The results were as follows, and the only one that really matters.
Oh, Jesus.
NWA World Heavyweight Champion Terry Funk. Funk defeated NWA Tri-State North American Heavyweight Champion Bill Watts via TKO to retain the title.
What the fuck, Bill? You had one job. July 18th,
1989, Arn Anderson and Tully Blanchard defeated Demolition for the World Wrestling Federation World Tag Team titles in Worcester, Mass., ending the first reign for Axe and Smash. This win made Anderson and Blanchard the first duo to have held both the NWA and World Wrestling Federation tag team titles. Hot Stuff, your thoughts of Demolition as a tag team?
I was a big fan of Demolition. When I was a youngster, I had some Demolition toys. I didn't realize that they were considered a ripoff of Legion of Doom. I mean, I'd get the face paint and spikes or whatnot, but I don't know, they seemed like two different teams to me at the time and shit. So, but now I kind of understand how, you could modify someone else's gimmick and, flip it a little bit, but
I don't really see. Don't get me wrong. I'm a big fan of Demolition. Growing up as a WWF fanboy, I just don't see how they differentiated themselves outside of the Road Warriors. I mean, really, they're nothing but complete ripoffs to me. After you see the Road Warriors, you go, well, shit, they're carbon copies.
Well, for one, they were fatter. For two, they had the full face mask thingies with the little hoods in the back. They had spikes on their wrists, and I think they were a little shorter than LOD as well.
Same day, 1999. Balls Mahoney and Spike Dudley defeated the Dudley Boys, Bubba Ray and Devon, for the ECW World Tag Team Championships in Dayton, Ohio, ending Bubba Ray's and Devon's sixth title reign.
Oh, okay. So it's like the summertime is when the underdogs win. I see. It's Terry Funk won, then Arn and Tully won, and Balls Mahoney and Spike won. Like all the jobbers and mid-carders get their funky off in July, it seems like.
July 19th, 1997, ECW held their Heat Wave event at the ECW Arena in Philly. Here are the results in a flash forward. Mikey Whipwreck and Spike Dudley defeated PG-13.
Oh, speaking of jobbers.
Axel Rotten defeated Tracy Smothers.
Jobber on jobber.
John Cronus defeated The Prodigy, Tom Marquez.
Oh, more jobber on jobber.
Cut Candido and the Beast from the East, Bam Bam Bigelow, defeated Balls Mahoney and the Midget's nephew, Chris Chetty.
I'm starting to think there's something to my theory here.
ECW World Television Champion Taz defeated Lance Storm with the Taz Mission.
Okay, that bucks the trend.
ECW World Champion Terry Funk defeated Shane Douglas via disqualification when Francine, Douglas's valet, attacked Funk and bit his ear, rendering Terry Funk a bloody mess. It was heavily hyped on ECW television that the referee had no choice but to call for the DQ, a rarity in ECW, due to Francine's actions.
Ref is an idiot.
The Gangstas defeated the Dudley Boys to win the ECW World Tag Team titles in a steel cage weapons match. This ended the Dudleys' second title reign and began the second and final title reign for the Gangstas. They would never defend the belts, as Mustafa would leave the company and ECW would push a story that he was injured during this match.
Oh, that was nice of them to say he was injured instead of in jail or something.
Rob Van Dam, Sabu, and Jerry Lawler versus Tommy Dreamer, the Sandman, and their mystery partner never took place. Rick Rude, working as an announcer, came down to team with Sandman and Dreamer, but then turned on them, leading to a long brawl.
Nice.
This was also Jerry Lawler's last ECW arena appearance.
That's awesome.
July 20th, 1992. The leader and founder of Hot Stuff International. The King of Philadelphia, Hot Stuff, Eddie Gilbert, defeated Ricky Morton in Memphis, Tennessee to win the USWA Unified Heavyweight title for the second time.
Good job, Eddie.
On the same card, Brian Christopher Lawler defeated Dr. Tom Pritchard for the USWA Southern Heavyweight title, ending Pritchard's fifth reign as champion and starting his own third run with the belt.
Oh, good job, little Lawler.
And continuing with the snooze fest, July 21st, the shooter, Dean Malenko, defeated Eddie Guerrero in Tampa, Florida to win the ECW World Television title. beginning his second reign as champion.
Oh, he got another title reign, huh? Interesting.
And finally, July 22nd, 1923, the legend, the fabulous Moolah, was born in Columbia, South Carolina. Your thoughts of the fabulous Moolah?
First, goddamn, she was born in 1923. Sheesh. My thoughts on the fabulous Moolah. I don't know. I don't really have much to think about her. I mean, she's always been around in some shape or fashion as my time as a wrestling fan, but just always thought, oh, here comes fabulous Moolah.
And her fupa.
And then as we got towards the Attitude Era and stuff, it was kind of cool watching her get power bombed and shit. Or was that Mae Young?
Also, same day, 2001, the World Wrestling Federation held its Invasion pay-per-view at the Gund Arena, now known as the Q.
That's right, Quicken Loans Arena
in Cleveland, Ohio.
Damn, I wanted to go to that.
The show got a 1.43 buy rate, the company's highest since WrestleMania 17.
Wow.
And highest non-WrestleMania buy rate since SummerSlam got a 1.71 in 1999. That's the one with Jesse the Body Ventura was the referee against Austin Triple H, I believe, or Austin Mankind. I can't remember.
Okay, yeah, I remember him refereeing some shit.
Invasion was the first pay-per-view to feature the infamous Invasion storyline, featuring various wrestlers from the WWF taking on a combined force of wrestlers from World Championship Wrestling and ECW, later known as The Alliance. H-Dub, your thoughts of the Invasion angle, the Invasion pay-per-view, and so on and so forth.
Talk about a wasted opportunity at something special. I mean, if they couldn't do it how it should have been done, they should have just swept it under the rug until for how many years it took until they could have got your Stings and your Goldbergs and your Kevin Nash, whoever's, and did a true Invasion pay-per-view or angle rather. Obviously, hindsight is 2020, but it was then, and even more so now, it was just a colossal disappointment.
In Vince's defense, the Scourge defense of Vince McMahon, the top guys of WCW were making upwards of $3 to $6 million a year. The WWF top guys outside of Undertaker and Austin were making $1 million to $2 million a year. So to bring those guys in with their full contracts intact would have upset the financial apple cart, and probably would have caused instability within the locker room. So I understand where Vince is coming from, because with the buyout of WCW, the guys who were brought in, the Booker T's, the Lance Storms, they were brought in, I think, at 30 to 40 cents on the dollar for their contracts. They had to, or either bought out their complete contracts and re-signed them for lesser deals.
Okay.
Like DDP. DDP just signed like right away because he just wanted to work in WWF, you know? I mean, he's a mark. Like the real top guys who knew that money is the only thing that really matters in wrestling held out for their Time Warner contracts and got all their fucking money. Kevin Nash said in his RF video shoot interview 2007, he said, I can sit at home. He said, I can go on the road for 200 plus days a year and make $1 million, or sit at home, smoke weed for a year and make $3 to $4 million.
Oh man, so
Cannabis there's no, like, you would have to be a complete and utter mark. To give up your contract with Time Warner, because they still had to pay those contracts out, to just take a lesser deal just because you're just on TV, and the propensity of making more money, even though the WWF guys were in complete burial mode of all foreign talent.
Oh man, yeah, I know.
Did you see what they did to DDP? Mm-hmm. Did you see what they did to Booker T and Lance Storm and all those goofs?
Yeah.
And not to mention the ECW guys, they treated them like complete jobbers. The only one that was protected was Rob Van Dam. So I don't understand how anybody could come in and say, all right, Vince, I'm making $3 million right now. I'm gonna renege on this deal. You pay me $900,000, and then give me some T-shirt money, and we'll go on from there.
That's why I said if they had to wait a little bit, you know what I'm saying? In this case, wait till the contracts expired or whatever, because eventually the contracts would expire, and then they would have needed a job and stuff. Then maybe be a little patient. Then they could have did it then and had instead of the murky where it's Stone Cold is the leader of the WCW side and shit. Oh, and Stephanie is running ECW and Shane is running WCW, and
it was a complete clusterfuck.
Exactly.
It didn't make any sense for that Invasion storyline. However, you do have to strike while the iron is hot, and by WrestleMania 18, the landscape of wrestling changed so dramatically. I mean, like the NWO was brought in February of 2002. Well after the Invasion storyline ended in November 2001. However, there have been guys in the wrestling business who said that Invasion angle could have lasted at least a year.
Hell yeah.
Shane Douglas has said it could have lasted 18 months, and I concur. However, that means you have to continually program new guys to keep and then that means that the WWF guys would be losing their spots. Undertaker was not losing the spots, and nobody at that time. You know what I'm saying? He was fresh off of injury. The Rock was part-time, so he wasn't losing any spots. He had just did the Scorpion King shit. Austin had just came back from injury, and he was tearing it up. You had Chris Jericho. You had Chris Benoit on top at the time. Angle was, a burgeoning success story. And then you influx people like Rob Van Dam, Lance Storm, Booker T, DDP. Now, I'm not necessarily a WWE fanboy at this point, but when you compare The Undertaker to DDP, who's going to go over?
In most cases, The Undertaker.
So why would you do a stalker angle when The Undertaker's wife looks like a
Yeah.
and fucking Kimberly is way fucking hotter?
Oh my gosh, Kimberly. Yes, she is.
Oh my God, it was insane. It didn't make sense. Or, you got Stephanie McMahon as the leader of ECW when you have Paul Heyman right there.
Oh, he's just the flunky.
You can see why he left the company like 4 years later. It didn't make sense. If you had a Paul Heyman led ECW, at least Paul can get it done on the mic.
Mm-hmm. And it adds legitimacy to it.
If anything, because the guys, they don't match up, like Balls Mahoney, Rhino,
Mike Awesome,
Spike Dudley. And then even the top guys who had already, floated to WWF prior to the buyout, like Taz and the Dudley Boys. You know what I'm saying? They weren't factored in as top guys. Maybe the Dudley Boys during that heyday of the tag team renaissance of the 2000s, but they weren't going to carry nothing. They weren't allowed to talk. It just didn't make it. It was pathetic from top to bottom. But I get you have to strike while the iron is hot, and it was going to be a clusterfuck any way you look at it. Even if Shane ran it, if Stephanie ran it, if Paul ran it, the boys were not going to let any of those foreign talents come over and get over, to the point where they were going to be selling more merch than Steve Austin or The Rock or Triple H. It wasn't going to happen. It was just doomed to fail regardless. But you got to run it. You have to.
Ooh, I don't know. I think that would have been a case where Vince would have had to put his foot down, or at least try to sell the WWF guys at the time on the long-term vision and shit.
But here's the thing though. Like, okay, you got Rock who's feigning leaving for Hollywood. You got Austin with a brittle neck, bad back, and two knee braces. You got Undertaker who's, I mean, granted, he did go decades later. He did go another decade. Shawn Michaels wasn't there. You know what I'm saying? So you're really running with top guy, and Foley's gone. You're not running with a good set of top guys. So like, how do you keep these guys in your fold? How do you keep The Rock at this point and have him say, no, fuck that, I'm not doing any jobs, I'm going to Hollywood? Or Austin saying, I'm not doing it, I'll do the job. You know what I'm saying? He could have left. Like, these guys could leave at any point. You know what I'm saying? So Vince was really tied behind his back as far as this invasion angle when you really think about it, because his top guys were all Triple H was there, but he just had the quad injury, so he wasn't even in the invasion angle. So again, like Chris Benoit went down with a neck injury. So you're running with Chris Jericho on top, Austin on top, and he's brittle as fuck. Like, these guys have to go over, or else they just walk. You know, they'll walk. Period.
But meanwhile, you got because NWO came in February of 2002.
Yes.
So if you could hold off until at least then, you got Hogan, Hall, and Nash waiting in the wings.
Do you really trust? And not to cut you off. Do you really trust Nash to really to carry a brand in the ring? He tore his quad literally 2 months later. Do you really trust Scott Hall?
We're talking storyline right now.
I understand, but like, seriously, they have histories of flaking on you. Hogan flaked. No disrespect to Hogan, but he flaked on Vince. So he flaked and went. He didn't have to come back. You know, Hall. I mean, all these guys' contracts ran out, so yeah, they want to get some events money, but they're not going to carry it in the ring, you know. So they're immediately jobbing. One, to check their ego, and two, to check their ego and to play ball, and to see if their bodies are going to hold up. Nash's body didn't hold up. Hall's demons didn't hold up, and Hogan immediately turned babyface once those guys were gone.
Well, technically, he kind of turned face at WrestleMania 18. Well, or the next, yeah.
He turned face immediately as they came out. You may not have seen NWO 2002. I'll tell you a story. So I was in Germany. We went to the club, and again, time difference. So we went to the club. We got back around 3 a.m. So we were right at when the show's showing on Armed Forces Network. They showed all the pay-per-views for free. So we walked in, but before that happened, me and my friends got into a fight with a whole bunch of Army guys.
Oh shit! Air Force versus Army.
Yes. So we're leaving this club. It's called the Riverside in Trier. Shout out to the Riverside. Y'all had no hoes. That's why we made the early exit. It was like, I said, the NWO is going to show up on pay-per-view tonight, man. Ain't no bitches here. Let's get out of here. So as the clubs in Germany, you pay when you leave. Okay. You know what I'm saying? So you get a card, and they stamp your card as you pay for drinks. They give you the initial stamp, because you came in. Uh-huh. So it's like €6 or whatever. And then as you pay for drinks and shit, they stamp your card. And then you get your card, and they slide it in a little machine, and they computes out your price to leave the club. Uh-huh. All right, so we're sliding our cards in, paying the money. At this time, actually, there's Deutschmarks, and one of the guys lost his card.
Oh shit!
So when you lose your card, you have to pay the entire price. So it's like 50 marks or whatever. Uh-huh. So that's a lot of money at the time. So he lost his card. He had to pay the entire thing. So he's like reaching for his shit, and these Army guys are in the back of us telling us to hurry the fuck up. They was probably trying to watch the damn pay-per-views with. So my boy, we call him Uncle Bob because he was like the drunk uncle in your family. Uh-huh. He's yelling at the Army guys and shit. Back there yelling back and forth after he's trying to get the money out of his pocket and shit. And a fucking the German bodyguard comes and tases him.
Oh, your boy? Or
yeah, no, he tased my boy. Just tased Bob.
Why tase Bob?
Because he's fucking just arguing. Like, the argument's getting heated and shit. So he tased the nigga. So he tased the nigga. He shocks and shit, and he falls to the ground. So he dragged him the fuck out and, like, we throw the motherfucker some money, and we just get the fuck up out of there. Damn. So anyway, So we're like walking to the car, and the army motherfuckers are like, yo, what's up, what's up, what's up? So anyway, we get into this big fucking squabble and shit, and then the German Polizei come out, and you do not fuck with German Polizei because they will beat you. They will beat you worse than American cops will beat a black man. You feel me? So it was like we fought for like literally 5 fucking minutes, and then all of a sudden it just dispersed because we was like, yo, Polizei! And everybody got in their cars and went back to their respective bases and shit.
So they can beat on military people?
No questions asked. I'll tell you something. Another thing about German Polizei: if they pull you over and suspect you of drunk driving, they can pull your blood immediately right there. Damn. Yeah, they'll pull your blood. They'll arrest you and pull your blood. They have syringes and shit like that. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. It's the worst. So yeah, we get back. And as we walk in, you know what I'm saying, and watching the TV and shit, the NWO will come out and they kind of boo Hall and Nash, but Hogan gets the mic and they absolutely cheer for him. It's like the Hogan pops that you saw going forward after post WrestleMania. They're just like that. Oh, you know what I'm saying? They were literally trying to get to boo the NWO. You know, headed into WrestleMania 18, they did that fucking that angle with the semi truck. Oh yeah, that cheesy shit. You know what I'm saying? Like motherfuckers laughed at that shit. You know what I'm saying? You know, as it went on, it was cheesy as fuck. But they were booing Hall and Nash, but they were cheering the fuck out of Hogan because he ain't been in the fucking WWF in like 9 years. You know what I'm saying? So it was a wrap. Hogan turned face as soon as he got there, and they had already programmed this was it. Hogan, you're turning face at WrestleMania. It's over. And on that note, in a few, just for you, the infamous, highly acclaimed Extreme Retro Review. Peace.